Is Chidima Oranwa. We are glad to have you here this morning. Okay, as usual, we're going to start the show this morning by bringing your way stories that are trending on our website and also other national dailies. And we have reviewers with us in the studio this morning. But before you meet them, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll go straight into discussion. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the show. As you can see, we have two guests with us this morning in the studio. And the first person is Dr. Obiora Edogo. He's a public affairs analyst and also a lecturer in mass communications department, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Okay. Welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you so much.
And we also have Comrade Boni Ozo Nkwako, public affairs analyst, also former President General of Enugu Ukwu Community. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
All right, quickly, let's start the show this morning with the stories that are trending on ABS website. The first story we have, the Anambra State government holds capacity building programs for community-based health workers. Saludomon students of Tansi International College, Oka, killed by lightning. Anambra State government to launch coding skill training program. Anambra State government commences 2023-2024 joint orientation ceremony for JSS1, SS1, and transfer students. All right, these are what we have on our website this morning. Let's start with you, Dr. Obiora. You've seen the story trending on ABS website, and I want you to, pick one that you want to delve into.
Okay, I would like to join our state governor, His Excellency Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, in commiserating with the parents and then the management of Trans College, where some students were killed by thunderstorm last week. It was a very disastrous news, very sad news to hear. And then I have to extend my condolences to the management of the college, then to the parents of the children. It's a very sympathetic news, but since it's a natural disaster, we have to just tell them to bear the loss. Personally, as a child rights crusader, yeah, I was in fact emotional to hear about that. Quite emotional because I know what it means, the death of a child, to the parents, then to the school, and then generally to all of us in Anambra State. It's a sad news, but all we can say is that we cannot, as we cannot question God, we will say, let their soul rest in peace. Although very difficult for me to say. I'm just emotional about that.
But of course, that's what we have to say. But then to forestall future occurrence, because I heard that we are playing football outside, and most of them wearing putting on any canvas or shoes. So they were just playing under the rain. So what would you advise students to do to forestall this kind of a thing happening again?
I think as a person, this type of thing, well, I say let's look at investigations into this to know the cause, because I am not an expert in this area. I don't know what must have been the root cause, because this type of thing, even though if somebody is inside the house, if we should advise students not to play outside. Thunderstorms sometimes could kill people even inside the room. There was an experience one of our core members had when I was doing my youth service.
Okay.
So then in Niger State, one of our members, one of our core members, gave a testimony in the church of how she had an encounter with lightning that thunder threw her from her bed. She was inside the room. So after the lightning, what happened was that she didn't know how with the lightning, immediately the thing came, the thing threw her on the floor. So if we should advise students not to go out, which may be the likely advice, as lay people in this area, people who are not, let me say, not experts, the likely advice anybody could offer is students should avoid going out under the rain. But if you consider this, what I have just told you now, that somebody inside a room had similar experience. And then I must point out that the lady in question, in our time of youth service, her own encounter, she said she was operating the phone. And when this thing happened, it came through from both, the phone was affected and eventually she was thrown to the floor. So I think that is another side to it. People should be careful. And then generally, I will advise that people should be prayerful too.
Yeah, of course, because with the little knowledge I know, I've heard them saying that when the rain is falling, you're not supposed to be outside without wearing something because of the thunderstorm. And then again, when you talk about phone, once you see it's raining and the thunder, lightning is coming, you drop your phone. In fact, keep it away from you, man, distance. Don't use it, don't operate it. To some extent, it can help. We are just trying, we'll do our own as human beings, and we pray to God that He continue to protect and guide us. Having said that, we also pray that the soul of the departed will rest in peace. Amen. So let's come to you.
Thank you so much.
Cambrade.
Why joining my colleague to commiserate with the parents of these SS3 students, you know, the whole students affected, 9 of them were all in SS3. The dead, 3 people that died, SS3, the 6 other people that were injured in same SS3. So while commiserating with the parents, let us also correct this narrative of the children playing in the rain. My son is in that school, in the same SS3. Okay. So he survived the unfortunate incident. So on Sunday morning, when I got disturbing news, I was in the church. Somebody came and whispered to me, "Did you hear what's happening in Tansi?" I left the church service halfway. I had to rush to the school to get first-hand information. And I was pleased with the emergency response of the school. You know, natural disasters will happen, but how do you respond to emergency? How do you respond to this disaster when it happens? The narrative of the students playing in the rain, you know, the thunderstorm began a few minutes after the thunderstorm started, then it began to rain. In fact, on that Saturday evening, even in my house, I noticed that the thunderstorm that night or that evening, it was extraordinary. So what actually happened is that, you know, we live in dormitories, so we know the time, the routine, the time for evening games. Mm-hmm. So the evening games had barely ended. Then the students were almost about marching back to the hostel. Then this thing started. So it's not as if the rain was falling and the people were doing okokomili like we used to do when we were small. No, they were almost on the verge. Okay, let's now go. Then this thing happened. So, but many people are assuming that, the authorities left them to be playing in the rain and things like that. But whatever, something must cause somebody's death. So it's very, very unfortunate. And just like someone rightly said, even if you are walking, even if you are going out for any emergency during the rain, you must wear something. My phone is always on flight mode whenever it's raining, particularly in these days of thunderstorm. You know, these killer thunderstorms, you usually experience it at the onset of rainy season and when the rainy season is about to, you know, end. That's when you normally experience this. So it's very, very unfortunate. And I joined the state governor. Yes, there are his children, there are his students. Even those who are not from Anambra are all here. They are being taken care of by the school in the state. So the names of the bereaved have been published in the school official, WhatsApp page. Even the parents of the bereaved were contacted immediately. In fact, that reduced panic. Because if the school had not contacted, in fact, they managed the information very well. Because if the information was not managed very well, you would have seen, many parents besieging the school on that day. But they managed the information very well, and then, well, it has happened. It has happened. Lessons has to be learned when this kind of thing happen.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go over to our first paper under review this morning, the Daily Sun newspaper. With the big story there, Labour declares war, begins strike in Imo today. Order state on Tuesday, reviews breach of agreement with federal government. Grouse includes attack on Ajero. Another bloodbath in Benue Castina. Gunmen kill 15, abduct 5. Ex-African presidents, government to meet in Abeokuta on democracy. NPA set a 2024 deadline for $1.1 billion port rehabilitation plan. Plateau South, appeal court sacks PDP senator, declares Labour Minister Lalong winner. Can want to play opposition to government Archbishop Oko. Israel forces to allow trapped civilians leave Gaza City. We will take over Gaza security after war. This is coming from the Prime Minister Netanyahu. Jonathan orders asked for re-election of Diri as PDP ends campaign. Mbas NYSC certificate, PTPP rate, NYSC demands apology. Okay, and these and many more are what we have on the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper. Dr. Obiora, let's begin with the big story. Labour declaring war. We can see the riders there that they strike started already in Imo State today. Another state to join on Tuesday next week.
All right.
Part of the reason why they are going for the strike is what happened to the Labour leader Ajero in Imo State.
All right. Personally, the way I see the crisis in Imo State, which is leading to this likely showdown, it's all about the reports around the next election. And then, in no distance time, there will be election in Imo State. And this crisis, if you look at the Labour and then the government of Imo State today, I think is not something that is good to hear, because where two elephants, they say where two elephants fight, the grasses will definitely suffer. So the people of Imo State, if you look at what is happening, is not good for the economy, it's not good for even the voters there. So the electoral process, the umpires should be on ground now to check, because what is happening now, the security is threatened, the economy is threatened. So I will call on the state governor, Imo State governor, to just wait into this thing. I know that he's going for his re-election, but the peace and stability of the state supersedes every other thing. Even if he didn't win his re-election, and he will hand over a peaceful state to whoever that will be the successor, that is a big achievement. But if you look at what is happening now, you will discover that Imo State is just almost becoming a theater of kind of a theater of war, and is not good for the image of the state, for the image of the entire Southeast. So the kind of crisis going on there, the state governor should do everything humanly possible to make sure that he brings the tone of violence there down. Whatever that should bring crisis should be controlled for the interest of the people in the state, for the image of the state. And then you remember that as Southeast states, whatever that is happening in Imo State will in one way or the other be affecting some other states in Southeast. So he should do everything humanly possible, using his position as the the number one person in the state, the chief security officer of the state, should use every available means to ensure that there is peace in Imo State, so that people will enjoy economic stability, and then the security of lives and property will be guaranteed. That's my view.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, still on the labor issue, that's my consistency. I'm the secretary of a labor union, secretary of a senior staff association of Nigerian Universities in the branch. First of all, I want to disagree with the caption. You know, sometimes when you want to sell these papers, you bring up, you know, some catchy captions. Some of these captions could be deceptive. Labor declares war. We are not at war with anybody. Rather, labor is doing what is constitutionally, what is empowered to do constitutionally. Recall what happened in Imo State. The government of Imo State had a lot of anti-labor policies, arrears of wages, pension arrears, not implementing certain agreements on wage reached between the labor unions and the government. So the president of NLC, Comrade Ajero, with other national officers, came to Imo State to have what is also his constitutionally empowered to do, peaceful rally, to draw the attention of the world to the anti-labor policies of Imo State government. That was his thing. And suddenly, he was attacked. He was brutalized. He was treated like a common criminal. In fact, as we speak, the Comrade Ajero is still in hospital receiving treatment for injuries sustained when suspected thugs, with connivance of some security agents, you know, pounced on them, beat them up, tore their clothes. This thing should be condemned by all well-meaning Nigerians. This is not how to, you know, engage labor. You engage, you jaw, you not war. Engage in labor, agreement will be reached, and certain areas of the agreement will be touched. The one that doesn't please you, you bring out why you are not in support of it. Labor will also bring out their own. At the end of the day, two of you will come to a compromise. But unleashing violence and mayhem on the labor leaders who have come to show solidarity to their colleagues in Imo State is condemned, is very, very bad. Now, I urge the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, please to investigate this and give the labor leaders necessary protection they desire while going on their constitutional duties. So this is condemned. Now labor is threatening to go on strike. If this issue in Imo State is not resolved, then it will also, you know, lead to nationwide strike. But we pray it is resolved amicably so that it doesn't culminate into nationwide strike. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The next paper is the Punch newspaper and Daily Independent. We're going to take in them together. First, the Punch. Off-season elections, crisis rocks peace meeting. NLC strike threatens Imo poll. Traditional rulers flee as parties bicker. Labour plans airport and power shut down. IG deploys new CPs, 3 killed in Kogi as INEC rejects call to remove Imo wreck. NMPCL unveils new crude grade achieves 1.9 million barrels. Over $70 million remains trapped in Nigeria foreign airlines. Nigerians lament as Canada suspends Abuja embassy operations. Battle for Bayelsa. Jonathan Deris Silva canvass a vote. 5 jailed for sharing Osun ex-speaker's nude video. Certificate racketeering. Lagos Assembly probes Lasso. Israel Hamas. Senate demands a ceasefire. U.S. rejects Gaza occupation. And then the Daily Independent is next this morning. Attack on Ajero. NLC TUC starts a showdown against Imo government. Uzodimma says action began midnight Tuesday, November 7. Nationwide strike to commence November 14th. Tinubu's terrible mistakes plunge Nigerians into misery. This is coming from Sagae. Kogi Gubapil odds favor APC's Ododo. Again, 10 persons killed in fresh bandit attack in Benue community. Gubapil's IGP restricts vehicular movement in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State. Fish sellers protest a price increase in Abeokuta. Senate probes alleged lopsided recruitment in federal civil service, and federal government's bloated cost of governance may impede development. This is coming from analyst seeks a measure of MDA's reduction in government expenditure. We have a whole lot of stories to talk about, many of them. Let's start with this story. I mean, the last one we just read out. Analysts saying that, bloated cost of governance may impede development in Nigeria. Now they are talking about how we can merge some of these ministries. That seems like they are doing the same thing. What's your thought on that?
I think it's a good step. But before talking or going into merging of some ministries, personally, I would like to say that the cost of governance in Nigeria, cost of governance generally, should equally be properly examined. I'll give you an example with what was trending sometimes from last week backwards.
Okay.
The cost of vehicles to be given to National Assembly members.
Okay. The 160 million.
160 million saga. That is unbelievable. It is quite incredible to hear that in a country where many people are struggling to get means of daily survival, 3 square meals are very costly something now for many Nigerians. And then those we elected as our National Assembly members have the audacity to go for a vehicle of 160 million naira. I mean, it is disheartening to hear. It's incredible. It's so disappointing that in less than 1 year of the election, the gift they are giving to Nigerians who elected them is to just increase the hardship. So, going into those ministries, those in the ministries, if these ministries will be like this, and then each of them will be made to be productive through the good oversight functions of these National Assembly members, no matter the number of the ministries. If you have good oversight functions and ensure that they are productive, if any of them should be merged or scrapped, you should make sure that it is on the ground of non-productivity. You understand? So if you have many of them, like what is obtainable overseas, if you look at even in university system, if you look at the way I don't know whether the analogy is out of this thing, but it's similar, where you have courses, people read things that you may think are not necessary. So some of these ministries and agencies you think are not necessary, with good oversight functions, ensuring that these people are productive, because it was the same government that created them, as in past governments. And those in government then, I know that they are wise, there is a wisdom in this decision that they took. So if the governments of today will wake up to tell us that the people who created these things lack wisdom, I think they should rethink. What is necessary, as far as I am concerned, is bringing down the cost of governance in Nigeria. It starts from top to bottom. Every aspect of leadership should be reconsidered. Our leaders should have a rethink in whatever they do in governance. By the time they start doing this, you see that even civil servants, let me tell you something. Chinua Achebe said that in his this small book, The Trouble with Nigeria, where he said is simply and squarely failure of leadership. He said that leaders, in that book, he said leaders in the language of psychologists are role models. Whatever leaders do, you see people try to emulate the leaders. If our leaders can go for 160 million vehicle, it means that if a civil servant sees a way of embezzling to get up to that, because, I mean, somebody who just entered National Assembly last April or last June will be going for a car of 160 million, while somebody that has been working for about 30 years ago may not be able to afford a vehicle of 5 million naira. So what message are you sending to the person?
Okay. All right, thank you so much. Comrade.
Let's go over to Middle East. The Middle East, just like many papers reported, the Middle East is always sitting on a keg of gunpowder. The crisis in the Middle East is basically the interest of the West. The Western nations want their interests to be protected in one way or the other, and also a lack of unity among the Arab League. If it's not Iraq invading Kuwait, it is the Allied forces going to liberate Kuwait from Iraq, or it is US invading Iraq in search of the so-called weapon of mass destruction that they accused Saddam Hussein of harboring, which they didn't find out later, and Iraq became devastated. Or it is ISIS operating in Syria and the other peninsula around there. Or the US accusing Iran of stockpiling nuclear weapons. So now the crisis, the one that is like a recurring decimal, this one is, it will occur today or this year. Certain agreements will be reached, it will stop. Later, after some years or some months, it will occur again. Israel and their neighbor. Israel and the people living in Gaza, represented mainly by Islamic resistance movements, the Harakat al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, otherwise known as Hamas, meaning Islamic resistance movement. Now, such a resistance movement are supposed to look into the welfare of their people religious-wise. Then Israel, on the other hand, also wants to protect her own territory. Now, without apportioning blames on who started this fight, if you see what is happening today, you see the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. This humanitarian catastrophe should be condemned. The two parties must come to peace. All forms of hostilities must stop. Aid should be allowed to reach those it should reach in Gaza. Because I don't like seeing children suffering, old men suffering, women suffering for a cause they don't know anything about it. I understand. I also believe in Israel's right of self-defense. But that right of self-defense should also be limited. If you want to get one Hamas fighter and you end up killing 50 civilians, it doesn't make sense. In legal parlance, it's often said that it's better to allow one criminal to go scot-free than to convict 100 innocent others. What happens to the Israeli technology of pinpoint targets? You use this pinpoint target in the past to get at your enemies. And this thing, just like the US president advised them, that do not be consumed by anger. Yes, you were angered. 1,000 plus of your citizens were just murdered in cold blood. Yes, you are angered. But in trying to, take revenge, in trying to fight those that actually kill your subjects, do not be consumed by anger. Differentiate between those carrying arms and the innocent civilians. So this crisis has to end. Let the people, let the world, let the United Nations do more of diplomacy than more of talking. And then these two parties come to a round table. And again, the main issue of a two-state solution should be looked into. This two-state solution whereby these two states will live peacefully, they will coexist peacefully, then Israel's security will be guaranteed, whereas the Palestinians' freedom to have their own country should also be guaranteed. under a UN agreed two-state solution. So that's my take on what's happening there.
All right, thank you. Let's look at this day newspaper and the Nation newspaper. This morning, MPA launches audacious $1.1 billion plan to rehabilitate 100-year-old Tinkan Island port and orders. Discloses 25-year port master plan. And then we have as a big story there, Yakubu, results of polling units with a record of violence will not be counted. Riders, Imo, Labour Party, PDP, Guba candidates stage walkout during INEC stakeholders meeting, demand removal of resident electoral commissioner. Don't test our resolve. IG warns troublemakers in Bayelsa, Kogi and Imo. On orders restriction of movement on election day. Deploys 3 DIGs to man elections in 3 states. And then we've talked about the strike action in Imo State. Labour commences indefinite strike action in Imo State. Cervical cancer, Nigeria governors' wives committed to tackling barriers of scaling HPV vaccination in the country. NMPC Aito Venture launches a new crude oil grade to compete in Europe. Okay, and Bayelsa Podiri deserves another themes coming from former President Jonathan. Quickly, let's see the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. Imo, police, labor clash likely. Federal government shocker soon for dollar-naira speculators. Airlines orders to get forex backing next week. Court strikes out Deputy Governor Aida Tiwa's suit. Senate goes tough on MDA's disrespect for resolution. Dr. Obiora, we can also see the pictures of people coming out for governorship seat in Imo State. That's the pictures of the people there, so quickly.
All right. If you look at most of the papers, I think if we examine what we call content analysis, just if I call it qualitative content analysis, or cursory, by cursory looking at the papers, you discover that this Imo likely crisis between Labour and then the Imo State government is still reoccurring in virtually all the papers this morning. And the meaning is that there is element of truth in what the papers are saying, because they are almost saying the same thing. It means they have investigated, and the crisis, like the first paper we talked about, the crisis they reported, likely strike action coming, which will not augur well with Imo State as a state that is about to conduct a state election. I will advise, like I said earlier, that it is not only the work of even the state government alone, even the state commissioner of police in Imo State should rise up, or the inspector general of police should rise up to just ensure that there is peace in the state. And then government should, as a matter of urgency, look into the demands of labor leaders. You can see that the problem has to do with unimplemented agreement, and then the recent alleged attack on the national president of NLC, Comrade Ajero. So I think these things, diplomatic approach should be used to approach labor leaders. We know that there cannot be any government without these unions. These unions, the unions are the instruments of even the governors. For them to do any implementation of any policy, then the union members are needed. So I am calling on the Imo State government to do everything humanly possible. They should do the needful to ensure that they have the honor agreement with the labor in Imo State, and then even nationwide. You remember in Nigeria, this issue of unions, the way union members are treated, the way workers are treated, sometimes you think these leaders that will come on their knees during the election, are they the same people? Has anything come over their heads when they are in power? Because look at you, I may just refer us to what happened last year. Remember, it was ASU and then even NASU in the universities. And that agreement, after that agreement, for ASU, for example, where I belong to, it was an agreement of 2009 that has not been implemented. So another climb is something that we say is something that one cannot, or I say unimaginable. You can't imagine that. 2009 agreement. Go and check the way prices of things are changing. From 2009, if you look at the even exchange rate of our currency and then US dollar and then other currencies in the world, from 2009, go and check. And then if you are a rational leader, you will tell yourself the gospel truth that people who are asking you to honor the agreement you had with them in 2009, you should not hesitate to do that. So, like the NLC today asking for the government to honor the agreement, and then what was the reward was attack on the NLC president, national president. What is the message? A national president that should be given state security in Imo State should have been well protected. The state government would have protected him to show that actually we have the interest of workers. That man represents the entire workers in Nigeria, including myself here. So the attack on him, if you look at the way it cut across all the papers reviewed, I think with this, if the Imo State governor and then the commissioners, they will go through the papers of today, look at them critically, they should be able to just call Comrade Ajero, call labor leaders, and then resolve this matter amicably.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Comrade.
Then I want to also take the story on this day. Nigerian Ports Authority launches audacious $1.1 billion plan to rehabilitate 100-year-old Tinker Island port orders. You see, why commending the NPA for this initiative, but we must also say that the eastern ports needs to be rehabilitated. We have Area 1 port in Port Harcourt and One port also in Port Harcourt. We have the Calabar port, then we have the Warri port. In the past, when these ports were functioning, Lagos was partially decongested because some of the goods that are eastern bound or other goods, even those going to other parts of the country, the importers will ship these goods to these eastern ports so that apart from reducing the cost of transportation, it also decongesteds the ports in Lagos. So I don't now buy this idea of over-concentration on the ports in Lagos, the Tinker Island port, the Apapa port, and the dozens of jetties. There are also dozens of jetties in Lagos. If you are conversant with Lagos very well, because it's only Lagos ports that are functioning now, sometimes you could see load of containers and other articulated vehicles, even tankers, queuing up to get their turn to get fuel from the jetties. It will stretch from Yanisolo or even Ladipo bus stop. You see a long stretch from that Yanisolo, Ladipo bus stop to Sele, to Maitu, then to Bega, then extending to Tinker Island or Apapa Port, as the case may be. So these containers, they spend days. You know, a lot of man hours are lost. They spend days, and this also adds to the cost of goods. Somebody once said that you spend 3 million naira, equivalent of 3 million naira, to bring in a container load of goods from China. Then you also spend equivalent of 3 million naira to clear these goods and transport them to where you want to take them to. So when you see all these things, they add to the high cost of goods in the market. So please, while looking at this Tinkan Island port again, because it's like this Tinkan Island port has become, another avenue to, waste money. Because this is not the first time millions of dollars are injected into these ports. Please consider the other eastern ports and decongest and diversify the economy. That's what we are saying. We cannot over-concentrate in Lagos every time.
To rehabilitate other ports.
Yes.
For example, you named the one in Port Harcourt.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see the Guardian newspaper. 31 governors shown amendment financial autonomy for state assemblies. That's the big story there. Federal government begins 40% revenue deduction from Nigerian universities. Lagos Assembly summons Commissioner VC orders over certificates racketeering. Only 3 states score excellent in ICANN's audit ranking. Why coercive legislation may not return children to classroom. Okay, Daily Trust is next. 3 days to poll. Killings, attacks, spike in Kogi, Imo, Bayelsa. 3 killed as SDP chieftain attacked. Their thugs, says the police. IGP restrict movement, bars Ebubag orders, Washi secretary outfit. And then we also have down there, gas scarcity persists in Lagos, Kano orders as price remains unstable. Okay, these are the much we can take on the both papers, The Guardian and Daily Trust. So quickly before we go, which of the stories do you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about the story in The Guardian where they talk about 31 governors
showing
amendment, financial autonomy for the state assemblies. I think this is these 31 governors involved in this. Going against the autonomy of state assemblies. I think these governors are anti-people governors because the state assembly are where we have the representatives of the people. So if the House of Assembly is not autonomous, then they are just like toothless bulldogs. Yeah. They will not be able to do anything that the people are expecting from them. And it is only when these assembly members are free that they will be able to play their watchdog role on the executive. And it is where the State House of Assembly members, if they can properly checkmate the works of the executive, that the people can say, oh, these people are our true representatives. These people are doing our work. Okay. So, but if the state governors are against these House of Assembly members being, or House of Assembly, the legislatures being free, it means that these people are against the people. That is the summary. All
right, thank you so much. Comrade, what do you have to say about federal government beginning a 40% revenue deduction from Nigerian universities?
Well, the federal government, we need to be careful whenever we're talking about issues in the university system. First of all, how did the single treasury account, how did it begin? Government accusing, the MDAs of not utilizing the funds the way it's supposed to be. Therefore, the request for single treasury. Now, we have seen that single treasury. We have also seen its own ups and downs. In university, for example, now, as a dean of a faculty, it's common to cut grass around your faculty. To access money for that, you need to write memo from here to there because of this, single treasury. And it's also it's affecting development in university. Certain services that, you will have rendered, you find it difficult. Now, government talking about the 40% is too much, because this IGR, what the government should do is to monitor how this IGR has spent. You know, you have your desk officers, you have you send the monitoring team from time to time, let the university bring out their records and see how they utilize their IGR. But if you now want this IGR that also meant to be plowed back into the system, to service the system, 40% of them is retained by the federal government, I don't think it will augur well for the welfare and the well-being of the universities.
Okay.
So they need to have a second look at this, so that this is not just, you will not want to solve a crisis and create more crisis.
Okay. Well, on that note, we want to say a very big thank you to both of you for joining us this morning. Dr. Obiora Idogo, a lecturer in Mass Communications Department. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
It is my pleasure.
And also Comrade Boni Ozonkwaku, the former President General Emeritus Enugu Ukwu Community, and also National Liaison Officer, Anambra State Association of Town Unions, ASATU for Anambra Central Senatorial District, Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities, Sano Unizik Branch, and also Comrade, you are a recipient of so many awards. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you so much. See you some other time.
All right. Well, that's it on Press Review. Thank you so much for being part of it. We are taking a short break. When we come back, we'll see you at the other side. Stay with us. My name is Chidimma Oranwa.